Let's talk about En Sabah Nur, aka Apocalypse. Apocalypse first appeared in Marvel graphic novel Revenge of the Living Monolith in July of 1985, retroactively. Then he had a cameo in X Factor number 5 in March of 1986, and then his first full appearance was X Factor number 6 in April of 1986. So, En Sabah Nur, better known as Apocalypse, aka the First Mutant, has been making everyone else's problems look small for almost 5,000 years. He was born in ancient Egypt near the Valley of the Kings to a tribe in Aqaba. Unfortunately for baby Apocalypse, he came out with gray skin and weird blue markings along his face. The villagers took one look at him and went, absolutely not, and left him in the desert to die. Ancient Egypt really wasn't big on second chances. Before the desert could finish the job, a gang of terrifying nomadic raiders called the Sandstormers rolled through, casually wiping out Aqaba in the process. Their leader, Baal of the Crimson Sands, found the abandoned baby, decided he looked more future world-ending supervillain vibe than helpless infant, and adopted him. He named him En Sabah Nur, often translated to the morning light or the first one, and raised him with one simple life lesson: be strong or die. Turns out that's a terrible philosophy if you're raising someone with god-tier mutant powers. As an adult, En Sabah Nur and his clan were captured and forced into slavery under the Grand Vizier Ozymandias. Apocalypse wasn't exactly the keep your head down type. He rebelled, got killed, then immediately got better because his mutant powers decided death was more of a suggestion than a rule. After discovering Ramatut's ridiculously advanced technology hidden under Egypt, he overthrew the rulers, horribly transformed Ozymandias into his eternal servant, and officially started his lifelong hobby of conquering absolutely everything. Using Ramatut's tech, Apocalypse figured out he could put himself into regeneration chambers for centuries at a time. Every nap made him stronger. While everyone else was inventing farming, this guy was power napping his way into becoming a cosmic nightmare. Whenever he was awake, he traveled the world pretending to be various civilizations' god of death, because apparently one identity was not enough. During one trip through Mongolia, he stumbled across an abandoned celestial spaceship. Naturally, he immediately wanted it. The only problem, he could not unlock it. That problem eventually led him to Nathan Summers, better known as Cable, who was a time-traveling all over history. The two fought. Apocalypse got infected with Cable's techno-organic virus, almost died, got rescued by Ozymandias again, and accidentally discovered that the virus actually let him merge with the celestial technology. Instead of killing him, it basically turned him into an even bigger problem. Centuries later, during the Crusades, people mistook his regeneration chamber for some holy temple. Apocalypse woke up, found a mutant named Bennett Dupree, and upgraded him into Exodus, because apparently nobody gets to leave one of Apocalypse's encounters unchanged. Fast forward to Victorian England, right around the time Charles Darwin was explaining survival of the fittest, Apocalypse showed up thinking, finally, someone gets me. There, he met scientist Nathaniel Essex. You may know Nathaniel Essex as Mr. Sinister. You would be right. Essex was already obsessed with evolution, and Apocalypse looked at him and thought, you know what you need? Unlimited evil. He transformed Essex into Mr. Sinister, creating one of Marvel's biggest menaces, who just is so consistent in being a menace. Apocalypse's victory lap did not last long, though, because time-displaced Cyclops and Phoenix showed up and ruined his plans. Thousands of years after his birth, Apocalypse finally became the recurring migraine of the X-Men. Cable's arrival from the future woke him up again, leading him to attack X-Factor using a villain team called the Alliance of Evil. When that didn't quite stick, he came up with something much cooler, the Horsemen of Apocalypse. His whole mission became thin out humanity so only the strongest survive, because he had apparently never updated his worldview since childhood. Which, I mean, his childhood was kind of crappy, so why would he? He captured Angel, brainwashed him into becoming Death, only for Angel to immediately betray him. Replacement Horseman? Caliban. Never one to leave family trauma alone, Apocalypse infected baby Nathan Summers with the techno-organic virus, a decision that accidentally created Cable, strife, and several timelines worth of therapy bills. X Factor eventually defeated him, but it was temporary. Apocalypse later ditched the Horsemen for the Dark Riders, only to get absolutely wrecked by Strife, the clone of Cable whom Apocalypse himself had raised in a nightmare future. Strife left him shriveled up on the moon, where even his own followers basically shrugged and walked away. But this is Apocalypse. Dying was not on the agenda. He came back and tried rebuilding the Horsemen. At one point, he even turned the Hulk into war, which is the Horsemen War, which sounds like a great idea until you remember it's the Hulk. Hulk broke free almost immediately and left. It didn't last long. Undeterred, Apocalypse kept recruiting replacements, eventually transforming people like Deathbird, Caliban, Rory Campbell, and even Wolverine into various horsemen. Then things somehow got weirder, as they tend to do. Apocalypse teamed up with a group of Skrulls investigating mutant evolution and put together a prophecy involving 12 incredibly powerful mutants known as the 12. There was not much creativity in the name. His plan was very simple. Absorb all powers, become a god, and remake reality however he wanted. Naturally, the X-Men objected. At the last second, Cyclops ended up merging with Apocalypse instead of Nate Gray, completely throwing off the whole ritual. The overload was too much even for Apocalypse, forcing him to abandon the whole plan while Cyclops seemingly died in the process. Except it's comic books and that's not how it goes, so he didn't die. Jean Grey and Cable eventually tracked Apocalypse and the Cyclops/Apocalypse fusion back to Egypt. Jean literally ripped Apocalypse's essence out of Cyclops' body with her telepathy, while Cable blasted the leftover spirit into oblivion. You'd think that would have been the end. It wasn't. Apocalypse regenerated yet again in Aqaba and immediately started collecting horsemen like they were Pokemon cards. The time he recruited Gazer, Sunfire, Polaris, and Gambit, who originally volunteered as an undercover spy, but instead got corrupted because Apocalypse has an almost supernatural talent for making everyone's day worse. At the height of his power, Apocalypse attacked the X-Mansion, which had become a refugee camp after House of M. Even after convincing several refugees to join him, he got pushed back by the combined efforts of the X-Men and the Avengers. Finally, Apocalypse discovered an unpleasant little detail. Every time he'd been using celestial technology, the actual Celestials have been watching. Realizing they were probably about to collect on several thousand years of unpaid cosmic debt, Apocalypse actually wanted to die rather than face them. The Celestials, however, did have other plans. They resurrected him, specifically so they could drag him away for judgment. Even the universe looked at Apocalypse and said, yeah, we're going to need to have a talk. So that's a very brief breakdown of who Apocalypse is. His background is very extensive and very exhausting. So let me tell you what his powers are, because also extensive, exhausting. Trying to list all of Apocalypse's powers is like trying to list every feature in a Swiss Army knife that just keeps downloading new updates every few centuries. For starters, Apocalypse isn't just a mutant, he's an external, an incredibly rare group of immortal mutants who simply refuse to stay dead. Over thousands of years, he kept evolving and then upgrading himself with celestial technology, bonded with living celestial armor, absorbed multiple techno-organic viruses instead of just dying from them, and it's even implied that he's carrying a death seed inside him. At this point, he's less of a person and more of a walking Apocalypse DLC. So with immortality, that comes self-resurrection. Death is just more of a minor inconvenience because he just comes back every time. He can resurrect himself, but thanks to celestial tech and the techno-organic virus, he keeps finding increasingly ridiculous ways to return. He has body manipulation. His main mutant power is complete control over the atomic structure of his own body. Translation, if he wants to grow bigger, turn into armor, sprout weapons, regenerate, or completely redesign himself, he just does it. Enhanced physiology. Once his mutant powers fully kicked in, every physical stat got cranked up to, this shouldn't be legal territory. Absolutely stupid strength. His strength is basically impossible to measure, and he can boost it even further by pulling in outside energy. He held the Hulk in place with raw strength. He smacked a young Thor so hard that Thor thought his head was going to come off. He headbutted Thor with enough force to send shockwaves across 100 miles, which left Thor thinking, yeah, my spine can't survive another one of those. Regularly overpowers Colossus. A poison Apocalypse was thrashing so violently that Polaris and Magneto together had to hold him down. Later fought young Thor 2 more times, one of them while Thor had Jane Foster backing him up, and, lived to tell the tale. During Krakoa, he casually ripped apart multiple Stark Sentinel Mark IIs with his bare hands, crushed Wrongslide to death just to feed Krakoa with his blood. He punched Emma Frost, who was in diamond form, so hard she got launched clean off Krakoa, which sounds funnier than, it sounds funny. He has near invulnerability. Hurting him basically is a group project that still fails. He has celestial armor that makes him absurdly durable. Extreme heat, extreme cold, radiation, none of that is anything to him. The combined attacks of the Inhumans and X Factor that he went through didn't matter. Before he even got celestial upgrades, he tanked a weapon meant to fry his nervous system and fused his spine together. Exodus barely scratches him, can shrug off attacks from multiple powerful mutants at once. He can literally catch bullets with his mouth. Also, his practically infinite stamina, fighting until everyone else gets tired, is basically his favorite hobby. He can go and go and go, and you all died hours ago. He beat an entire X-Men team while weakened. His first time he was ever truly exhausted, he actually commented that he'd never felt his lungs burn before. Imagine living for thousands of years and you're like, is breathing difficult? So there's that. He has super speed, fast enough to fly at supersonic speeds, punch Quicksilver before Quicksilver can do the Quicksilver things, and catches bullets, like I said. Like, he is the size of a mountain. He looks like the size of a mountain, and he has super speed. Ridiculous reflexes. His reactions are basically instant. He has super agility. Thanks to shapeshifting, his body bends and moves however he wants. He one time caught Thor's flying axe right before it hit his face. He has super senses. He can detect invisible people, sense mutant powers across the world, and once kept fighting after Nightcrawler literally teleported away with his eyes. He just regenerated them later when it was convenient for him. He has super breath, can exhale hurricane force winds because why not? He has celestial energy manipulation, uses insane cosmic energy for all kinds of nonsense, including, but not limited to, creating illusions, messing with memories, rebuilding matter, healing, completely restoring destroyed body parts. Psionic powers. He's also a heavyweight psychic because being physically unstoppable apparently was not enough for Marvel. He has a psychic link. He can share a telepathic network with other externals. He has telekinesis, telepathy, telepathic resistance. He also has cyberpathy. Cyberpathy? I can never say that word. I'm sorry. Thanks to his celestial tech, he can mentally interface with and control technology. If it's a machine, chances are he can hack it with his brain. So basically, Apocalypse's power set is what happens when someone looked at every superpower in comics and said, yeah, just give him those. Why not? It's so much. If there's one consistent thing about Apocalypse, it's that every time someone asks, can he do that? The answer is usually, unfortunately, yes. So that's all about Apocalypse. As you can see, he has so many powers. He is so overpowered, and the X-Men do not know who they're about to go against in X-Men 97, especially with Exodus there too. I'm confused about that as well. But yeah, so that's Apocalypse. I hope you enjoyed this episode. I hope you learned something, and I hope you will like and subscribe. With that being said, have a marvelous day.